A soul who trusts the unknown pulls miracles from thin air. And this is a quote I just saw from Matt Cook. And I wanted to talk about how important it is to trust in your own vision, because it's the people who can trust completely in what they can only visualize inside of their head or conceptualize as thoughts. People who are able to make those thoughts feel real are the same people who will make those thoughts real. Does that make sense? So recently I attended this sermon and the preacher was kind of talking about how when you have a dream, or even if you think about an inventor, right? Everything we know around us that benefits us today was invented by somebody, whether it's the lamp next to your desk, it's your bed, your air conditioning, a laptop. The fact that you can literally hear me right now and I'm not right in front of you, insane, is a material consequence of a lot of other people's inventions, right? But at one point, all of those people's inventions only existed in their head. At one point, a bed wasn't a thing. Someone had to think, oh, wouldn't it be so nice to have something comfy to lay down on to go to sleep? Wouldn't it be so nice to have a pillow? Wouldn't it be so nice to put sheets on the pillow so that the pillows don't get dirty as easily, or sheets on the bed so that the bed doesn't get dirty as easily? It sounds so little, but it's literally so important, because if they let those things just be thoughts, we would not have the things around us. And do you see how with the bed example, everything built on the last thing, right? Obviously, I don't know the exact details of the history of how the bed came to be, right? But for someone to invent pillowcases, someone had to invent a bed. For someone to invent, sheets on your bed, someone had to invent a mattress or a bed frame. So it's very important that, or like I said earlier, right, with me being able to talk to you, but I'm not right in front of you, someone had to invent the internet, someone had to invent phones, someone had to invent voice memos, someone had to invent iCloud, all of these different things, right? Someone had to invent the concept of listening to podcasts. But it's very important that you see the pattern of what I'm saying and not get hung up on the exact details I'm using as examples, because what I'm saying here is, for one, none of these things would have existed if the original creators did not trust fully in their ability to materialize the things that they conceptualize in their head. And for two, none of these people would have been able to invent something if the person before them hadn't done their job, shown up, believed in themselves, and invented the first thing. So the inventor of pillowcases could not have invented pillowcases without first seeing a pillow as inspiration and being like, wouldn't it be great to have something to cover that? The inventor of people today who make designs for pillowcases wouldn't have an opportunity to think, oh, wouldn't it be so beautiful if this pillowcase looked like this, if they didn't first see a pillowcase to conceptualize oh, wouldn't it be nice if this had, my own creativity added on top of it. I've said this in a prior video on my TikTok before, but no one out there created all of math, all of physics, all of any subject. We are all, who was it? I think Kamala Harris was like, did you fall out of a coconut tree? We are all that came before us, which she kind of said it in a silly way. But yeah, creativity hinges on prior creativity. It's the same way that people say art mimics life. Your creativity comes from your own experiences in your day-to-day life. And without your own unique exposure, and this is the thing I'm going to harness in on, right? It's not necessarily about copying everybody around you, but at the end of the day, your unique exposure, because you are uniquely located in time, space, geography. Only you have your specific background. Only you have your specific experiences. And even being on the internet nowadays, you're like, is there such a thing as an original thought? Yes, so many of us do have shared experiences, but only we react to them the way that we do. And because of that, it's very important that when God, the universe, whatever you believe is that higher power, places an idea in your head and you can feel in your bones that it's a good idea, it's very important that you believe in yourself, because there's someone out there that needs for you to carry out the thing that you believe in so that they can carry out the thing that they were destined to do as well. And all of this has compound effects on one another. So there's this really great creator. I've always loved her stuff. Her name is Ayandastood. So Ayandastood. I think she also has a podcast. She's really big on TikTok. And I want to say I heard this quote from her, but frankly, even if I didn't, I'm just going to give her the credit. I mean, if someone else knows where it came from, let me know. I'm going to give her the credit because she is so smart. And if I don't give her the credit for this, like, I'm probably going to bring her up at a different time anyway, or forget to credit her at a different time. So let's get into her quote though. I believe she was the one that said, like, when you have a dream, it's because someone out there is dreaming you back. So when you have a dream to accomplish something, to achieve something, to create something, to talk to somebody about something. And the thing is, dream can be anything, right? Maybe it's as small as, oh, I feel like I should go introduce myself to that person when you're at a party or a work function or you're at school and someone is sitting alone and you want to say hi. Or maybe it's as big as, right, some crazy invention or some app or some website or some business idea. There's levels to it, but it really doesn't matter, right? Every single thing is important. And again, everything compounds. But do you know that when you had that dream placed in your heart, or that idea placed in your heart, to speak more generally, to say hi to that student sitting there that has no one else to talk to, or to say hi to that work colleague that you'd never met before, it's because they also needed it in that moment. And if it's not specifically them that needs it in that moment, maybe there's someone years away who needs y'all's collaboration. So I'll give an example for that too. My dad and his co-founder met in like 2006. It's now 2025, and they have this massive enterprise that's employing probably close to 50 people at this point. I'm not sure. But do you realize that if they had never connected in 2006, they wouldn't be able to provide livelihood for all of the people that they currently employ, and they wouldn't be able to serve the functions that the business serves in present day. So maybe my dad or his co-founder weren't dreaming of each other in that moment, like that they really needed to have that conversation. But yeah, maybe all of the people right now that are employed by them, including myself, did need them to talk back then, because it was going to materially change all of our lives in the way that we spend that 40 plus hours a week with them, continuing to build this enterprise and continuing to serve people in this industry. Or really, the tech stack is agnostic, so serve any industry. But do you see what I'm saying? So when you have a dream or a calling to do something, or for myself, right? Like, I know that it's very important that I share my ideas, because I know that I'm someone that thinks very uniquely. And at the same time, so do you. Everyone thinks uniquely, but this is just also feedback I've heard from other people. And they tell me, like, make the podcast, make the talk show, whatever it is, right? So it's not just about me wanting to do something. It's about the fact that there's an audience out there craving to hear the thing that I'm doing. And I don't say this to talk about myself. Let me link this back to you. Every dream that you have, every idea that you have, every time you feel a calling, every time you feel a nudge and you feel it in your gut that this is something you need to do or want to do, and that desire isn't just some kind of random materialistic thing, but you can tell that no matter how small, it is connected to something higher than you and bigger than you. It is so important that you cultivate the practice of believing in yourself and believing that your thoughts can be real. I actually don't know if I finished my thought earlier around that sermon where the guy was talking about how, yeah, when those people have dreams of something, like they had to visualize a lamp. That did not exist yet, right? So it sounds crazy. And sometimes, and this is again to help you practice that practice of cultivating self-belief day to day, right? When the first person went and told somebody else about electricity or light bulbs or this or that, they sounded insane. They definitely sounded insane because it didn't exist yet. So sometimes you might tell somebody else hoping to get some kind of validation or positive feedback that helps you to want to keep going. But it's so important that if you don't get that feedback, that you do it anyway. And this isn't me being like encouraging poor decision making or psychosis or not listening to constructive criticism. Not that at all. If you have an idea and someone genuinely has constructive criticism to help you think about things in a different way that is productive, absolutely take those things into account. But when it comes to living your dream life, don't ask someone for advice that you wouldn't want to swap lives with. Because at the end of the day, the advice that they give you is the advice that they would take. And the advice that they would take and the advice that they would actually act on is the advice that brought them to the life they live today. And if you don't fundamentally want a life even similar to that, why do you want to know what they think about ideas that you have that are very, very different from that lifestyle? Like if I want to figure out how to make my first $1 million, I'm not going to ask, I say this as like non-disrespectfully as possible, but I'm not going to ask somebody that's never made $1 million actually. Like I don't even have to get insulting. Like I'm not going to ask somebody that doesn't have $1,000,000 how to make $1,000,000, because guess what? They do not know how to do this. Or for example, if there's someone who made their first $1,000,000 because daddy handed them $1,000,000, which is fine, or mommy handed them $1,000,000, which is fine. I'm not going to ask someone with a trust fund how to make $1,000,000, because they're going to say, open your bank account, because their bank account is linked to their parents. You know what I'm saying? But who I might ask instead is an immigrant, or someone that, didn't come from like a trust fund background, because they would have made it themselves and they would have actionable advice for me to take. So as you try to practice self-belief, don't expose yourself to people who are going to crush that flame inside of you or put it out. Because when you first start doing this, the flame is going to be very, very small. You would have just lit the candle. It's wavering in the wind. You're very concerned that anything can put it out. And it's so important that you protect that idea with your life so that it can continue to take spark until it's a roaring fire that literally no one could put out, okay? And I think too, if you can avoid talking to other people about your ideas, and I say this is someone that's like cannot keep her mouth shut and really struggles to do this, but there's two things to it, right? Like on a certain level, sometimes it helps to have that external accountability by saying the things that you want to do. But also, and if you're listening to this and you have ADHD, like sometimes you get so much excitement and fulfillment just from having an idea that when you voice it to another person without actually putting in the work to do it, you don't end up doing it because you already almost have ticked the box in your head of the good feeling and the dopamine or whatever you would get from achieving something just from talking about the idea of achieving something, that you don't do anything. So from that perspective, don't tell people about the stuff you do. But also, like I said, right, when you have an idea, sometimes it's very important to protect that initial flame. And when you're protecting that flame, exposing it to all of these different people, you don't know who genuinely has your best interests at heart sometimes. Like someone might say they have your best interests at heart, but be secretly plotting against you. And this is something I learned. I wish I learned like earlier in life because I was a very naive and like positive person. But you don't know who's around you and is acting like they like you and maybe even thinks that they like you, but they're genuinely like really jealous, or they want to kind of lower your self-esteem or knock you down a peg because, they can see that you're that girl and they don't feel that way themselves. So they want you to feel as bad as they do. And you genuinely don't know what angle they're going to come at you from. So if you have a new idea that you feel excited about, don't let that be the thing that they use against you. Keep it to yourself and work on it. And like I said with the ADHD thing, it applies to most people anyway. Just grind by yourself. Ask the people that you genuinely need mentorship from. Like I said, ask the people that can give you the advice that's relevant to what your aims are. Like if you're trying to move to Thailand and start over and have remote jobs, like don't ask the person working in a 9-to-5 corporate job in Texas, because like they don't know what you're talking about, right? Ask the people that have done what you want to do or are hoping to do what you want to do, so that it's like they're also in that mindset of thinking about it. Ask the right people for help. Leave literally everybody else out of the conversation and let the proof be in the pudding, right? Make it happen. And when you make it happen, let it speak for itself. Don't speak for it. So yeah, those are some of the things I wanted to talk about today. I've been saying I would start a podcast for literally so long. And I think sometimes, and I'll use this to encourage you as well, you just need to start. Stop overthinking it. Stop filming a bajillion episode ones and thinking about what your intro and outro will be. Just dive into what you want to say and say it. And that doesn't just have to be related to like content creation, but anything you want in this life, just start. Because the sooner you start on step one, and even if step one you do horribly, like you will get feedback just from doing step one that will lead you to step two. But if you don't start on step one and think for years about how to make step one perfect, you'll never get to step two, because step one has to happen to get to step two. Right? Like you can't skip things. Maybe you'll have a different perspective because of the years that you let go by. And I'll also say that to encourage you, like, don't feel bad. Like, yes, the best time to start was 10 years ago, but the second best time to start is now, right? And because you now have all of this life experience, it is going to affect how you show up in step one, no matter what the goal is. But at the end of the day, you have to start. The best way there is through, right? So just do it. because I literally cannot tell you how many so-called episode ones I have hidden somewhere where I was talking about things and giving advice that I just never posted. And what's the purpose of looking at those things and recording those things when I don't go back and reflect on them and nobody sees them, because they don't ultimately benefit anybody if nobody gets to hear about them, right? So thank you so much for listening to episode 1 of this podcast. I'm not even going to say what it's called. Who knows? I'm assuming it's just called Live LUMANI. But thank you for being here. If you don't know, it didn't matter at the beginning, but if you don't know, my name is Obie. And I think a great way to kind of sum up what I believe in and what I want you to always have as a takeaway is change your narrative, change your life. Because the life around you is a reflection of the narrative you have constantly running in your head. And there's literally nothing that is beyond your capability as long as you believe that you can do anything in this life. So as you transform from the caterpillar into the butterfly, I hope I can be here with you every step of the way, constantly encouraging you to believe in yourself. Because like I said, as you change your narrative, you'll stop being the caterpillar and you'll change your life and be that butterfly. So I will see you next time. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. Mwah.